how a typical day of a Laravel team looks like.
I've seen some articles recently that India is the fastest grow country on tech. Do you also feel that?
How many environments do you have, like staging, UAT?
I'm not using AI for anything.
Do you believe in karma?
Literally, my goal was like, I want to be like this, folks. I want to be on stage at Laracon.
Have you ever thought that after doing all these things, there will be a person from India who's going to invite you on the podcast?
Laravel is one of the
really
best frameworks to use PHP 5.3.
We will have
I'm really excited.
Welcome, Nuno, for this amazing podcast, which is called Laravel India Podcast. I'm really excited to be with you for about an hour and going to talk about really amazing thing. First of all, how you are excited about Laracon India.
First of all, thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure just to be with you. I'm a fan of you, by the way.
Oh,
Let me tell you that already.
It's really nice.
You are creating such an amazing content for the community, and we are very lucky to have you.
Thank you very much.
I'm also privileged, just to be part of Laravel, Laracon India again. So I've been there 2 years ago. And last year I couldn't go because of, personal reasons. However, this year I'm so excited to be back to that community, which means a lot to me. There is something special about the India community around Laravel, around PHP and web technologies that I truly love. So just so excited to be back, and I cannot wait.
Yeah, I can understand the excitement because Laracon India was fun, and every time people come here in India, they will have different taste of the conference. It's totally new, totally fresh, and so much of high energy. Thanks to Vishal.
Exactly. Thanks to Vishal, thanks to the community, the energy in Laracon India was really something truly special. And I cannot wait to relive some of those moments again on the next conference.
Right. So, before moving into the tech and the Laravel stuff, so let's talk about your daily life. Like, as a PHP person who has created so many amazing packages, you're working for Laravel, you're doing a lot of online things, live streams, tweets, packages. Oh my God, lot of things. How you manage your day? What the general day of Nuno looks like?
So I don't have, a special recipe for what I do. And I don't think what I do is special, by the way. It's just regular work for me. But so I start in the morning, In the morning I wake up. I have a lot of coffee during the morning, but it's just a typical job on the regular PHP company. So I work for Laravel. And at the moment, what I do at Laravel is basically work with the Laravel cloud product.
Wow.
So in the past, I used to work on Vapor. Then I spent like 2 years just doing open source within Laravel. And now I'm fully focused on Laravel Cloud, which you probably have heard of. If you haven't, is something that looks like Forge and Vapor, but a little bit different, probably for the better, in my opinion.
We're going to talk about that surely. So
Great.
at what time you wake up generally?
9:30, 10.
Okay.
And I
when you
typically
sleep?
work. Yeah, I go to bed around 2 a.m.
Oh.
Sometimes 3 a.m. Yeah, I don't sleep much. I don't know, man. I have like probably 6 hours of sleep every day. But yeah.
Tell me how to sleep less.
Well, I don't know, man. I just go to bed and I typically fall asleep in 30 seconds. Which is crazy. My wife is jealous of me because I typically fell asleep in 30 seconds, not even that. But yeah, I typically finish with Laravel around, 7 when I'm about to have dinner. And then I just go deep into my, into my side project stuff, which typically might be an open source project or just be a regular web application, or sometimes even now, live streaming and do some, online content regarding videos. Really depends off my mood, what I'm into. I like to work on stuff that I'm excited about. And if I'm not, I just don't do it anymore. I'm not afraid of saying stop on anything, because what is most important for me is that I truly have fun in what I'm doing. So if I wouldn't thought that being with you right now would be fun, I wouldn't do it.
Oh, great.
So yeah, in my side projects is a little bit the same thing. So if I'm doing something, but at some point I'm not having fun, I'm like, not liking what I'm doing, I just stop doing and I'm going to do something more exciting aside.
You work so much, as you said, like from morning till evening you work for Laravel and then your side project, and you sleep around 2 a.m. I can say. Are you consider yourself as a workaholic?
Not an alcoholic. I'm just lucky enough that computers are like my work, you know. I always liked computers since I was like a child, you know. And I'm just lucky enough that that ended up being my work as well. You know, so I truly like to be on my laptop. I love being on my laptop. That's not that was something a little bit crazy that sometimes I'm on vacations, you know, like traveling and things like that, and I cannot wait to be back to office. So I don't call that alcoholic because I literally just love being on my laptop, you know, checking the news, run programming, just creating videos or being with you, having this conversation, or, you know, just coding a new package or just working on Laravel Cloud. I'm having so much fun working on Laravel Cloud at the moment. It's just, you know, so it's a little bit like that, yeah.
Cool. Okay. Yeah. So I think if you love something and you keep doing from day to night, it's not a workaholic thing because you're just following your passion. You're happy with doing that.
I don't feel tired even sometimes, you know. That's something I talk with my therapist about that. Like I don't feel tired at all. Like something probably weird even, I don't know, but at night I don't feel tired. I just when I have to go to bed I'm like, "Oh, okay, well, let's just have a night of sleep, wake up and I'm still refreshed in the morning." So, yeah, I feel that other people are a little bit like this too, you know. Maybe some people in our community are a little bit like that as well. Yeah, so there is no magic recipes, just, you know, normal stuff, I feel like.
Yeah. So I heard one thing like if you are excited before sleeping about the next morning day work, then that's your passion. So if you are sleeping and or if you are just saying like, oh wait, I can just do 2 minutes more, and that 2 minute gives you so much satisfaction that yes, I did extra 2 minutes, and then you're happy. Obviously your legs are paining, your hands are like saying okay, that's good, but you're ignoring everything and then you're enjoying. That means that's your passion, and if you're following your passion, obviously you will blow up like you do. So what I know about you is before getting into Laravel, you were working for Algolia, I believe, right?
Correct.
Tell me your life before that. When you started coding, how you get into PHP, how you started to love PHP, and then going into Laravel, Algolia, how your journey.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's why I say I'm just lucky because I basically when I finished, you know, regular school, and when I was trying to find what I want to do next, I just ended up going to university doing computer science. And the reason why I went for that, it's because I was just playing a lot of video games, so I thought I would like computers at the same time, you know. And so that was lucky already because just because you like video gaming doesn't necessarily means you would like, you know, programming and
Programming.
computing. So I ended up doing a degree and a master in computer science. And then I moved to France with my wife just because we wanted to experience a little bit of life in France. And I ended up working in the social media company called Alum Force, working with PHP.
Oh, wow.
So that's why I just started with PHP, pure luck. And you know, I was just developing a regular web application in PHP. At the time was Zen framework, just to let you know.
Yeah,
So it
yeah.
was Zen framework and front end, and you know, HTML, jQuery. We're talking about this type of stuff. So it's not that it's bad. It's just, you know, the web application was written on that at the time. So I end up doing a lot of PHP and HTML and just falling in love with it, you know. So that started to be my, you know, my main technology. Let's say that. 2 years after, because 2 years after, and during this time, basically, I was, you know, starting to involve myself a little bit with the community. The reason I think was when I was in Portugal, I had a lot of buddies, a lot of friends, and I used to go out with them and everything. But when I moved to France, I didn't have, you know, a lot of social life basically because I didn't know anyone.
Yeah.
So I started to just watch YouTube and getting a little bit into what people were doing on GitHub, and that ended up putting myself within the Laravel community. And I started to create some projects around Laravel, like Laravel Zero, Collision, and some of my early work. And a company called Algolia, which you probably know from Laravel Scout, if you have used Laravel Scout, they started noticing that there was a guy living close to Paris who is like doing stuff for Laravel. They needed someone that does stuff for Laravel in Algolia itself. So they said it's probably a perfect match. So they reached out and I made an interview, and then I stayed there for 2 years, just working with Laravel, JavaScript, Python, and some of those technologies. And I end up on Laravel because at some point, after being Algolia for 2 years, Taylor tweeted like, "We have a new spot opening with the company," and I thought, "Holy shit!" It's like literally my perfect moment. I'm gonna just apply for this job, and Taylor got me in.
Wow.
And that was like my start at Laravel. But when I started at Laravel already, I've done a couple of things for Laravel, like pull requests, packages being included within the core of Laravel, like Collision. So yeah, I think things work out really good. Lucky, work at the same time, everything combined, I feel.
Great. So that just reminded me my story, how I got into the PHP world. So in India, like if you back in like 5 or like 10 years back, when you want to get into programming or basically web development, there is no choice other than PHP. Nowadays, people are doing Monostack, Python, Go, but back then, just you want to do programming. That means PHP. So that's the only option you have.
Right.
So get started with PHP, and I also started with PHP and landed into the job with just the things I'm doing. So just like you were doing the open source and got the Algolia opportunity, similar to that, I was doing all these YouTube things and got the opportunity for the Pfizer. So
Congratulations. That's awesome.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's really, really nice. So with this, I just want to ask you, do you believe in karma? Like what you do, if you do things right, if you do things with your heart, it will come back to you as a positive?
Yeah, I feel like no matter like the path you choose early in your career, early in your life, if you do things with a positive way, if you take work always serious, if you respect people, things will always work out. So no matter actually, sometimes people are just overthink about what technology should I start, like what should be my first job. And I'm afraid that if I do the wrong choices, that will never work out. So I don't feel it that way. I feel like no matter what you choose, if you just take it positively, if you always respect people, if you're always kind, if you are always a good person, if you do your best,
Right.
things will always work out in the future. Pieces will just basically, fit together, and everything will just make sense. That's what I feel. And also looking at some of my buddies, have the same work as me, their lives, early in their lives, they didn't know what they were doing. I didn't know what I was doing. So, and things just work out in the future. Just like they did for you. So
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you something about India. I've seen some articles recently that India is the fastest grow country on tech. Do you also feel that?
Yeah, agree, 100%. Right. I feel like this is the time of India. For the world, the country is India, not just in tech, in everything. It's a transition. Obviously, a nation known for something is not a 1 day or 1 year thing. It's a transition, and we are in the transition phase, which is like India is doing lots of innovations. Lots of startups are doing so crazy things, which we were hearing about like, hey, US is doing these things, hey, China is doing this thing, but nowadays like we are coming up, like Indians are coming up with so innovative solutions that we are proudly
Yeah.
say that, hey, this is a thing which we have built. So there is a technology called UPI. So with that, you can just scan a QR code and you can send money to any person in just minutes.
That's cool.
I was like in seconds, not in minutes. And the crazy part is you can just send even 1 penny. That's also possible without any charge. And it's so great that India is helping other country with this technology. And there are so
Yeah.
many things. So yeah, you're right that this is the
Yeah.
time for India.
I also feel like, to add up a little bit on your saying that previously in India you would start always with PHP. I don't feel that was all only on India. I feel like in the entire world was like that. But there was a reason for it. I feel like at some point PHP was just doing too much. There wasn't this concept of mobile applications. All these new immersive worlds appearing, which now they are not coded with PHP. They shouldn't, to begin with. So now PHP is kind of doing what it's supposed to be doing from the early days, which is just regular applications, server-side rendering, which works quite good for most of apps.
Right, right. Okay, so let's move into the tech part, and I just want to first to talk about the reaction video you did for the interface. When I started the video, you were like, "Whoa! Oh my God! Wow!" I was like, "What this man is doing?" And I really watched the video, and I got so crazy innovations, and I can say like amazing feature of PHP 8.4. So what do you think? Which feature of PHP 8.4 just crazy, and you are going to always you always wanted that feature, and now it's available? Is there any feature of PHP 8.4?
Absolutely. So just before that, I just really think that overall the PHP Foundation group and all the PHP contributors have been doing an amazing job recently.
Exactly.
So
Right,
I feel
100%.
like now is going really fast and in the really good pace, and they are doing an amazing job. Recent versions of PHP, starting PHP 8, they have been like crazy. Every single year we are getting new stuff, faster stuff, and I don't feel they are shipping stuff that is like controversial. Everything is like stuff that people actually want, which is the case with this new version coming, PHP 8.4. And you were saying that I was exciting watching PHP 8.4, but I was truly excited because I just found out stuff while I was literally tweaking, experiment with that PHP 8.4 version. So, and I feel like the most cool feature they are bringing to PHP 8.4 is indeed have properties on interfaces. And I don't feel they did actually a good job talking about property hooks. So property hooks, they do bring indeed property hooks into properties, but they also bring this ability of defining properties on interfaces. So I think they should have started with that, because I feel that that makes people excited, or so that's probably my favorite feature, properties on interfaces, because I feel I do have a few use cases for it.
So can we get deeper into this properties on interface? What actually that mean, and why you are exciting about it, and what it was before, and what changed to make it so amazing?
I can explain that. So basically, previously, each time you would declare an interface, you would only be able to specify the methods that given interface implements.
Right.
So if you were to have, for example, some log service, and then you would have your own implementation of that log services interface, you would be able to only declare the methods specified on that interface. If you have, for example, a public property, you wouldn't be able to put that on the interface itself, because it's not part of a contract. So what PHP 8.4 is bringing is the possibility of also declaring properties on that given interface, which will force all the concrete implementations of that interface to have all those properties as well. So I do see the use case of this given feature on stuff like value objects. Potentially, you will have multiple value objects which implement that given interface, you know. Also for legacy code, sometimes you have legacy code which relies on public properties, and you kind of want to create an interface that obeys to that contract, and you can now have properties on top of methods, which you could already do. So I feel like property hooks do bring this feature, and they don't highlight it enough. So that's why I was so surprised, because I literally find out on stream, and I feel like people who are watching the stream, they also got excited about that.
Yeah, so these kind of innovative features of any language, I believe, is pushing the technology to really, really high level. Now, what do you think the popularity of Laravel? Why Laravel is so amazing and so great? Obviously, you and Taylor did so amazing works. Community is great, but I'm talking about the Laravel as a framework, and the framework is using PHP. Is it because PHP is evolving? That's why Laravel adapt the new features and created some great, amazing things, high, amazing developer experience, or it just the team who think that okay, we can do something in Laravel as a framework and as a language?
Definitely, like, there is two main reasons why Laravel is so popular these days. Laravel wouldn't be where it is right now if PHP wouldn't have evolved, you know? So Laravel was created on top of PHP 5.3, which brings, you know, namespaces, closures, and things like that. So if the language wouldn't have evolved, Laravel wouldn't have wouldn't have started to begin with.
Right.
So thanks to the language being involved over the years, Laravel was possible, okay? However, I do think Laravel is different from any other app web framework that exists. Duo, the amount of features the ecosystem brings. First of all, the ecosystem is truly made for making real app applications. So we're not talking just about routing, you know, or about one little thing. We're talking about a fully fleshed out ecosystem that will basically serve you and be there for you when you want to develop a real web application. So you have everything in your fingertips: auth, you know, queuing, caching, payments, you literally like everything. So you can literally be one single guy developing a real product from zero to the end with Laravel. Laravel is like this batteries included framework where you don't actually need anything else to develop a real web application. So that's why Laravel, I think it's so popular, because you have literally everything in your fingertips to do a full web application in a couple hours. And I don't know if you noticed, but I have created this social media called Pinkery. So Pinkery.com, which is a social media just like Twitter or, you know, anything else, that was like created in less than 48 hours.
Whoa.
And we are seeing, everything there, like file uploads, sessions, caching, UI, responsive UI. We are seeing live wire, like doing all that crazy stuff on the front end. So, you know, it's just it's a combination of factors, literally, like that make Laravel so powerful. The entire ecosystem, PHP being so no-brainer, so you can literally host PHP anywhere. It really just works. So it's a combination of factors, I feel.
Right. So what do you think, like, what if Laravel is started not as a PHP framework or maybe as any X language framework? Do you think that it gained the same level of popularity and same level of the amazing features we were talking about? Can we have that features if Laravel was not started as PHP framework but as any other framework?
I feel we could probably have indeed. However, there's like two things at the moment. Like when Laravel first came, it wasn't that easy to host a JavaScript app or a Python app like on a regular server. PHP was literally built in on those operating systems, and I still think it is, to be honest. So hosting a PHP app was like literally no-brainer, super easy. So at the time, probably I think Laravel came in the right moment to the right language, because PHP also didn't have a framework that was as magical and as power as Laravel, you know? These days, though, I feel like there is a few languages that are equivalent to PHP, you know, provide the same flexibility of hosting and also the same flexibility of writing. Python, Ruby, JavaScript, probably they fit this group of being easy languages that are as easy as PHP.
Right.
So, and as performant as well. These four languages are probably, very good languages, and they kind of have their own Laravel in their own ecosystem. Not as powerful as Laravel, I believe, because Laravel do really have a large ecosystem, but they also provide in their own way their own Laravel, like Ruby on Rails,
Yeah,
Django,
exactly.
But I don't think personally, of course, I don't think those frameworks are at the moment as powerful as Laravel in terms of functionalities, because Laravel is like has a full range of functionalities that those frameworks do not provide at the moment.
I totally agree with you. And, I don't have any degree or any certification in programming. So I came from an electrical engineering background. And when I started learning about the programming and I landed into Laravel framework, I was fascinated with the features and the things it cover around the web technologies. It's not just about the backend framework. It's not just about PHP. It's going to teach you, going to force you to learn about the how queue
Yeah.
work, how you handle the sessions, how caching work, even how
Yeah.
you can integrate the JavaScript framework like Vue, React, or
Yeah.
everything else into the framework. How you deploy things. So for me, that was the aha moment. Like, hey, this framework is going to teach me everything what I want to
Yeah.
know for becoming a good, I can say, a web developer. And that was the
Yeah.
crazy thing. And that's why I started, like, Laravel is the thing which I really want to learn from start to finish.
Yeah, I also feel like we are so lucky to have someone like Taylor,
Exactly.
literally being the visionary of this entire thing. I've been working with Taylor for the last 4 years and a half. And he's incredibly smart dude. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
He
100%.
is very smart in a lot of things, you know. And on top of that, something that I really like really like on Taylor is that when he doesn't know about something, he doesn't try to be smart on it. You know what I mean?
Correct.
So he always, if he doesn't know about something, he was, grabbing some counseling, try to understand, how that thing actually works before making a decision. He's a very smart dude, and we are so lucky to have him on this ecosystem for this amount of years already, which we're talking about more than a decade, possibly.
Exactly.
So he is incredibly smart dude, makes very good business decisions, and makes very good framework decisions overall. He knows exactly what should be on the framework, when we should take, a larger approach. For example, he acknowledged that these new frameworks on the front end coming into the ecosystem like React, Vue.js, they are truly powerful. The power you can get with something like React, it is pretty cool. So he kind of embraced that by having this inertia in the middle and embraced that on the documentation, on the starter kits. So you can literally do a fully fleshed out Laravel application with this powered JavaScript front end. But at the same time, if you want to stick with PHP, he also embraced the Livewire approach
Yes.
or the Blade approach. So you can literally be flexible here. He is like smart enough to understand that there is different flavors on this ecosystem, and he fully embraced it.
No doubt Taylor is the one. Because of Taylor, I think we are here. We are talking about everything we are talking is just because of Taylor. So just big thanks to Taylor. Okay, so let's move from PHP Laravel thing to your open source work and the recent works like Pyre. What you call it? Pyre.
Pyre.link.
Pyre. So Pyre
Yeah.
is a thing which I understand is like a security secure way of sharing messages between two persons? Simple.
Yeah, so I wouldn't call it. Yeah, basically the way it works is that you have a text box, and sometimes you want to share stuff in that you don't want it like to be long lived. You don't want it to see that, for example, in your own Telegram or in your own Slack. You just want to send a message and just kind of fire and forget.
Yep.
So Pirate is just perfect for that. You just copy the message, put there, send it, send the link back to the person you want to receive the message. He reads it once, and that's it. It's over. So Pirate.link was kind of, had this need, so I kind of built the app, I feel.
And then you have like Pinkery, and then obviously there are so many packages you build. How you get the idea, one, is a really important thing. And then idea comes, everyone has so great $1 million ideas. But the real thing is how you convert the idea into reality, how you validate that, okay, this is the thing I really want to continue. As you said, like, if you don't feel, you just drop the idea or drop the things you are working. But how you convert the idea into reality in your daily life, because I'm sure that you have tons of new ideas in your backpack and you just going to come up with so crazy thing in the future. But how you convert the idea into reality?
Great question. So I feel like I do two things that are like good on this regard. The first one is that I don't, just because something already exists, that doesn't stop me. I feel like sometimes, most of the times, people think, oh, like sharing a text over a link, that's already exists, so I'm not going to do it. Oh, social media, oh, that already exists already, so I'm gonna not do it. Or something like Past, or something like some of these open source projects I have created. All of them already existed in some way. Everything already exists. So each time you have an idea, just because it already exists doesn't mean that if you were to build it, it won't be like unique in your own way. So each time I'm excited about something, I try not to think about too much about if already exists. So I try to build it like, what if I was the person using this thing? How exactly do I would like this to be? So that's one thing. The second thing I feel like I do very well is really scope the feature set of what I'm building to the bare minimum. So I try to set up goals for myself. Like, if I'm building a product, this needs to be out today.
Oh.
You know what I mean? Like, it needs to be out like in 2 days. It cannot be more than that. Because if it's more than that, typically I just get demotivated during the process, or I just get tired, life happens, and I need to do other stuff. You know what I mean? So I feel like if I'm starting Saturday, for example, which was the case, for example, for Pyre.link, I need to literally get it out like on the next day.
Oh.
So yeah, so for this to happen, typically what I do is that I limit the feature set to the bare minimum, like to the minimum acceptable. Like when you look at something like Pyre.link, there is multiple things you can think of. Like, I want to set the expiration day, I want to be able to set my own password. I want to be able to maybe specify how many times this link can be viewed. Or even like, I don't want this link to expire at all. So you can think about multiple features that can be in this particular product or in this particular open source project, but you need to focus really, okay, what is the bare minimum I can do to get this shippable?
Wow.
And, so you do this, and when you start doing this exercise in your own ad, I feel like you can literally scope the feature set to something really small, which can be built effectively in 48 hours. Also, something that I do that I had two reasons, probably three. So something that I always do as well is do not be afraid of giving ownership to other people. So it's like very rare that I truly do something totally alone. Yeah. So something, for example, I cannot do, I'm just not good enough, is come up with the Figma design for something. You know what I mean? Like literally user experience or Figma design. I'm simply not creative enough, And there is people who are my buddies, like, Kaneko or David Hill or more recently Nuno Guerra, which are incredible designers and UX experts. So I just come to them and say, hey, dude, I'm building this thing, will be totally free. Would you be willing to give me a design in exchange of credits and, your name on the footer? And surprisingly enough, most people say yes.
Yes.
Like, yeah, I want to do it. Like, it's a funny
Right.
side project, no brainer. So I'm going to just give you a design on Figma tomorrow or whatever. So it needs to be fast as well. You don't want to like give a design, ask for the design that comes in like a month. It needs to be something like real quick. Like, I give you this idea, you give me the design back like in 2 hours. It needs to be like this.
Great.
So once they craft the design, I just implement the design in the thing, because this I can do. I can literally put the thing on Tailwind and on JavaScript as well. And yeah, also like in open source, doesn't necessarily needs to be about design only. You can potentially do the bare minimum of the package and then bring someone in to literally continue to implement the rest of the things. And again, surprisingly enough, people really want to contribute to open source.
Exactly.
So you bring them in, and you do something as 2 or 3 person thing, and yeah, just I mean, it works. It works for me like this, and I
Great.
feel it's a good combination of factors as well.
No, it's a really nice way to start and finish, I can say. So I'm right now reading a book called "Finish What You Start." It's a really nice book. This is what it says, like finish what you start. So
Yeah.
the concept you shared is exactly similar. Like start and do the bare minimum thing which you feel like
Yeah.
a first step done. If it's a 10 step, 20 step, just finish the first step and then see what
Yeah.
what you need to go to the second step and repeat the process. And I totally agree with you with the concept of if something is already there, it doesn't mean I am not going to build that thing. So I don't know if you know that I've created a product kind of thing which is an alternative to Laravel Forge, which is just going to take your repository and put it on any of these AWS or any cloud or DigitalOcean thing like that. So when I was building this, by the way, the product called Miso Hub, and when I started this and when I shared to my friends like, hey, I'm going to build a alternative to Laravel Forge. What do you think about this? People were like, why you are building this? Nobody is going to use your product because Laravel community or Laravel people around the world is going to use a Laravel Forge. I said, I don't know. I don't know if the people is going to use it or not, but this is what I want to build, and I don't know if
Yeah.
people are using or not, but the experience I'm going to get building a product is going to be huge. And
Yeah.
I must say, like, I work for PHP and Laravel for 4 or 5 years, and then I work for 1.5 year for this product. I'll learn 2x or 3x, I can say, the things I previously worked, because I'm getting the
Yeah.
real challenges, I'm getting the real bugs, and I'm just putting everything into the production, seeing how things are working, and that was incredible. So, right, so that's a way to get in the product.
Yeah, I want to add something there. Actually, 2 things. So the first one is every time I have built something, even if it didn't end up actually getting traction or ended up having myself using it, I did learn something on the process.
Exactly.
Especially when you do something that goes from zero to announcement, which is what I like to call, you just learn so many skills in the process, even if it's something that will not end up being used. You just learn there is so many skills in, like, from zero to announcement, there is so many skills that you need to understand and master in the process. They will end up learning something in the middle. Something as well I would like to say is that when you are public about your work, just like I am, you will hear so many opinions. Like, it's just
I
crazy
understand.
world regarding opinions. Like, there is so many opinions, and I used to take them like personal sometimes. I remember in the past this would make me so sad. Like, literally having a dinner with my wife and being concerned about answering all these comments on the press, and
Oh.
all these comments will just tear me down, and I would be sad about them, and I would be just disappointed about myself sometimes. And now I truly just try to see these comments in the way they are, like general feedback.
Yeah.
And when there is a comment that tells me, oh, that already exists, or or something that I truly feel it shouldn't take space on my brain, I just ignore them completely. But these comments are like just sometimes they are so downer, you know what I mean? And you really want to ignore them most of the times. You need to follow your gut, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
If I were to stop doing what I'm doing, every single time I would see a comment like already exists or what you're doing is useless or I would never use it, I would have nothing. Like literally nothing at the moment because everything I do will have opinions on it, good and bad ones.
Right.
So, yeah.
When I started YouTube, when I even not considered myself as a YouTuber, and I just started, I uploaded one video with the how to install Laravel in your Windows system. And the very first comment I got was full of hate, full of bad words in Indian
Yeah.
language. And basically the person was saying like, why you're doing these kind of basic things, why you are not teaching advanced things to the people. That's why
Yeah.
Indians are not going far, that's why things are not moving forward, because the people like you, blah
Yeah.
blah blah, a lot of things. And that incident, obviously that was the first time, and I was like, oh my god, what I did, this person is doing this and saying exactly right, I'm doing
Yeah.
a lot of negative thoughts. But that was the moment I realized that I need to ignore these things. and
Yeah.
and then after I thought, whatever people were saying, whatever their opinion is, I just say okay, thanks. And if I feel like this is really my mistake, I'll say sorry, I'll try to do my
Yeah.
best from the next time. That's
Yes.
that's the only thing.
Yeah, you kind of want to be balanced there as well because sometimes, like, when a comment is full of hate, like with bad words and things like that, just ignore it, like immediately. Just put it aside immediately. Yeah. However, sometimes, like there is a criticisms that are like genuine criticism,
Yeah.
and you want to grow with that. You want to fully embrace that. You want to better handle that you did something wrong. I have done dozens of things wrong in the past, and people approach me with that. Oh, I don't think you should have done it that way. You should have done it a little bit different. And you need to embrace that thing. You need to embrace that criticism and just grow with it. You need to better handle it. You need to understand you are a human, so you do make mistakes. Second, you need to make sure that the criticism is giving, you will not make that mistake in the future. And there is that also like good, so there is also good feedback and genuine good feedback, which you need to celebrate almost. Each time I'm doing something and it goes is a success, I try to celebrate. I try to do some video gaming with my buddies. Have a beer, just truly celebrate life when something goes good happens as well.
Next, let's move to Laravel as a team and the team member.
Okay.
So you have started with PHP. You moved to different country. Then you started working as employee in Algolia. Then you got into the Laravel team. Then you created so great stuff. And now, have you ever thought that after doing all these things, there will be a person from India who's going to invite you on the podcast?
No, to be fair, I haven't thought about that. Like, it's just, um, I mean, I'm just privileged, and lucky that there is people like you who see some value in my work, and that's why I always try to come to these kind of things because at the same time, I get the privilege and the chance of talking about my stuff. But at the same time, I'm also, helping someone on the chat or someone viewing this interview. Just like when I was young, like this is something I always talk about. Like I used to be, and I still am, to be honest, a fan of Taylor and
Yeah.
of Jeffrey Way, of Matt Stauffer, and all those folks. And I used to want to be like them, literally my goal was like, I want to be like these folks. I want to be on stage at Laracon. I want to create stuff like these folks do. I want to do videos like Jeffrey Way does. I want to be like these guys, and they were like my North Star. I want to be like them and try to be a little bit like them. So, hopefully I can motivate someone to also want to be like them or to have a little bit stuff like I do. I don't know.
You are a motivation for many people. I talk to people, and,
Thank
and
you.
when I shared that I'm going to interview Nuno on my Laravel India podcast, people were saying, "Hey, Sartha, I'm jealous. I really want to talk to Nuno just for a minute. I have a lot of questions." I said, "Okay, but this is my time."
Thank you for saying that, man. I really appreciate it.
Anyways, yeah, let's get back to the Laravel team. How a typical day of a Laravel team looks like? How you start, how you delegate works, how much is the how much Taylor comes into the picture of daily work at Laravel. Tell me just about that, because that's the thing I think everyone want to know if I
Wants to
say
know,
that I'm
yeah.
having Nuno.
Yeah, so Laravel now is a little bit more organized than it used to be. Previously we were not a lot of team members. So in the past, I used to do a little bit of everything. I used to do open source. I used to do product side as well. I used to do support as well. So now it's a little bit different. I get the privilege of only focus on Laravel Cloud. So typically a day for me currently is the following. I wake up. Typically, I already have a huge feature set that goes to production on Laravel Cloud.
Okay.
So my first focus on the morning is get those features out into Laravel Cloud production. This typically happens only on my team. So Taylor is like focus on the open source side of things. He still monitors a little bit about what's happening on Laravel Cloud, but it's like an outside perspective almost. He see it like every week. He tries to see and give the vision about what Laravel Cloud should be. But my mornings are about checking Slack, talking with my teammates, and ensuring that we can do a production release every single morning on Laravel Cloud. So we are literally shipping every single day.
Wow.
Once that release is out, I try to focus on either reviewing pull requests going to Laravel Cloud or actually building features. So, a typical feature could be, try to improve the deployment output, for example. So that would be a new feature which potentially could be combined with a designer as well. So we pair program a lot. So we have this culture at Laravel where we pair program using tuple pretty much every single day. Every single day I tuple either with a designer or with a teammate to literally, do stuff together and to have a little bit of a chat with that team member. But so typically a feature to Laravel Cloud, we talk, whether with the designer or with the other programmer. And we try to, just do a regular pull request. We get someone, merge that, we test that on staging, and then we prepare the release for the next day. So I start at 9:30. As I was telling you before, I finish around dinner time, which is about 7, 6:30. But Laravel is still, it's something I like a lot about Laravel. It's that it's a very relaxed company. Meaning that imagine that you didn't sleep well and you are tired, for example, you can literally work 6 hours.
Wow.
Just go there and say, "Oh, I'm a little bit tired today. I'm gonna finish earlier." That's it.
Wow.
But yeah, but sometimes I also work a little bit more because I'm excited about something and I want to finish it or whatever. And so yeah, it's still a very relaxed company. I still love what I do, and I feel like now it's just better than before, because previously we were like, we were like four dudes running a company with four products. It was just too insane. So now we are lucky enough to have more people, and we have specialized people. So we have people for infrastructure, we have people for support, we have actual people designing.
Wow.
So so it's actually, just a better company overall. I feel like we are building better things, and I think you all will see like how Laravel Cloud looks like and how Nightwatch looks like, and I think you will really like what we are building. And also in the existing stuff is like improving massively. Forge,
Wow.
Vapor, everything, they have their own team, their own group of people, their own dedicated support team. It's just, things are just looking way better overall.
Superb. So I just want to know, like, how you as a like Laravel team collab or communicate daily. So in typical team, I have seen like they're going to have all team member for a 30-minute
Uh-huh.
or 15-minute meeting, maybe Scrum meeting they call it, and one is like they will have like weekly meetings, all team together sharing the things. How it happen in Laravel team?
Great question. So, just first of all, now we do have some meetings, but the cool thing about them is that we still have the same mentality of just give ownership to those very good folks. Meaning that at Laravel, we are lucky enough that I have very talented people.
Great.
We have very talented people doing what they do. So when you have people like this, you cannot micromanage this type of folks, They are just super smart and you really want to give them like a particular feature, just trusting them that they will develop that feature on the best way possible.
Cool.
So at Laravel, we do have 2 meetings per week only. We have a meeting on Monday where we literally just have a regular chat, informal conversation where we talk about what the things we are working on, the things we are thinking about exploring, But there is not like you will do this and you will do that. You will need to have this ready for next week or whatever. It's literally more like I'm thinking about improving the deployment pipeline because I think I can make it twice as faster, and I will just work on it. So there is no such thing as micromanagement there. So we have that meeting where we just basically have a casual chat where we are drinking coffee. So that happens on Monday. And then we have a meeting on Wednesday where we have, Taylor and, more people a little bit from marketing as well, where we just say what we have done. And now we have this in production, which can do this and that. And it's just more powerful here and there. And the people from marketing and also Taylor gives his really good input and, and really see the things as an outsider, try to really understand where are we heading, and you know what I mean, kind of giving this really good overview of things. So yeah, 2 meetings per week, and anything else is like asynchronous through Slack, and we also tuple within the team to actually pair programming or just to have a regular conversation. And yeah, still in the super relaxed way, and
Wow.
also in the way that it doesn't block talented people from do what they do best. Because
Right.
sometimes you don't want to micromanage a designer who is super talented like David Hill. Is like, is a super talented designer. You want to be able to ensure that he does what he does best. At the same time, other people on the back end, they are super talented. Really understanding a need, a feature. So you want to make sure they have the time they do think is necessary for developing the best way as possible. That's why I think, I'm using Laravel Cloud already to my own stuff. A few customers are already using Laravel Cloud, and I do think that's why people are happy about what they are seeing at the moment, because it's truly one of a kind of a product.
We are close to finishing up, and I have a lot of questions, but I'm going to cut it off. I have one very important question which I have a debate with very many friends. So you said like you ship your product almost daily. So it's like deploying to the production daily. I'm right?
Yeah,
Okay. Now,
correct.
what do you think? Which one is good, or maybe which one is when good? Maybe I can frame it better. So one is like deploying daily. One is like deploying, working on a branch and then weekly deploy it. So weekly deployment versus daily deployment. Which one is good, or maybe they have some use cases? So tell me about more about that.
So for Laravel Cloud, I went with this daily deployment approach because we are shipping a lot and fast. You know what I mean? We are shipping a lot and fast. So two things. First, you want to keep the change log, but also the content going to production as small as possible. Small enough to the point there, if you were to ship this, you know exactly, if there is a problem, you know exactly where it's coming from.
Wow.
You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
exactly.
While if you were to have one release per week, there will be a lot of stuff, especially in the team as our size, coding as fast as we are coding. If you do a release per week, you will end up with having a huge content in your backlog that goes to production, and suddenly you have a problem which you don't know exactly where it's coming from. It can be problematic. However, if you do a deployment to production with the content on staging every single morning, if there is a problem, you know exactly where it's coming from. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So far, we had zero problems in production. So let you
Amazing.
know. Yeah. Also, you want, especially in these early stages, as we having in Laravel Cloud. So we already have customers, but those customers are in this early access agreement. You want to have feedback on the stuff you are shipping as fast as possible. You know what I mean? So let's say, like a real world example. Yesterday, we shipped caching, and we shipped metrics. You know, so if you ship caching and metrics today, you can literally work on feedback from customers tomorrow.
Great.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And you can continue to ship feedback as customers are giving you, and you keep iterating on the customer's feedback, which is way better than iterating in your own feedback. Because I mean, let's say, for example, metrics. You can have a metrics about a lot of things. You can have metrics that are more important than others, and you can run your own tests. But nothing is better than having like a very trustworthy customers testing your own like that particular feature with their own production applications already, and they will give you like very good feedback which you can iterate on it. Otherwise you will have to wait a week. On top of having to wait a week, you would have to wait for a week, and the feedback will come like all together about all these different features, you know. So I just feel it's a better way, and it's working out good so far. So excited about that.
Great, great. I was talking about how many environment do you have, like staging, UAT, obviously production is there. So it goes to these environment right now, or it just directly
Yeah.
to production, or how many environments you have for that?
So, great question. So, it does require some discipline into it, because you want to make sure, first of all, so if you're doing deployments daily, which almost what we are doing at the moment, you want to make sure that those things are actually well tested before going to production, you know? So we have currently, well, we can say 4 environments. We have your own locally, of course, but we have the dev environment. You know, the dev environment is kind of where the devs actually test if things all combine, because Laravel Cloud is kind of a product. It's not only a web app. There is like services, there is like, you know, infrastructure, there is like multiple things in the process, APIs potentially. So you want to make sure that everything actually works well combined. So that's the dev environment. Once things are actually properly tested on dev environment, you want to get it on staging. And staging is the place where not only the devs and designers will check the feature, but also, you know, Taylor, Q&A guy, a product manager. So we'll basically test the entire thing and give their input. So we iterate a little bit on that. So this typically happens, you know, already in the morning, early afternoon. So we will test it, and once in the staging for an entire afternoon and you feel comfortable enough, we do it in the morning. So
Great.
it still goes through these stages of testing, you know, but this is why it works so well, because, I mean, imagine if you have a week of things not shipped to production, you will have like all this content on staging, and then if there is a problem with one single thing, it will block the entire thing, you know. This is
Exactly.
also a thing, like if you do it weekly, for example, or monthly sometimes, if there is a problem with one feature on the entire backlog, everything is blocked,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that
you
happened.
know. And if you do it every single day, let's say we ship metrics and caching today, tomorrow we ship databases, and after tomorrow we ship deployment output improvements. If there is a problem, no problem, we just wait an hour or two, or we delay it to the next day. There is no such thing as like waiting, you know, a lot of time just because one thing is blocking. So
You use feature flag, obviously, to turn on, feature on and off for customers.
I don't think we have ever so far we haven't used feature flag, you know, yet. However, we do have a massive test suite in the moment that runs on dev, runs on staging, and runs in production before the deployment. So we do have a massive test suite with more than 1,000 unit tests, and we have browser testing, and we have, type checking. We have a bunch of stuff that will basically ensure that there is no way that thing we are shipping is like broken. So that's why so far
Great.
we didn't made a rollback so far. Just to let you know. So far we have not made a rollback, or something chip broken. It may happen, you know. We don't know. I mean, we are humans again. I mean, we make mistakes. So if it does happen, we'll be ready for it and just act accordingly.
Amazing. That's so
Yeah.
insightful. Last question about the Laravel Cloud, and then we are finishing up almost. So I know Laravel Cloud as since it's having a cloud word. So what I feel like it's going to have cloud providers, AWS, Azure, GCP kind of things. But what it behind the scene of Laravel Cloud? Is it AWS? Is it serverless thing? Is it the own server, or what's behind the Laravel Cloud?
Yeah, I'm going to answer what I'm sure I can disclose publicly.
Yeah, yeah.
So we're talking about physical servers, like regular servers, you know. So we are not using the serverless technology. However, the servers we are using and the way we are managing it, your servers can do scale and do handle a lot of traffic. Meaning that you can go to Laravel Cloud and specify that you want this type of server, you want to have up to 10 replicas, for example, of that server, and that will scale from one replica to 10 replicas depending of the traffic you're having. You know, so gives you the benefit of serverless in terms of being able from going to a very small instance to a massive beefy server with 10 replicas. However, it doesn't give you the bad things about serverless, which potentially, you know, created some bad press in the past. So it's not serverless, but it gives you the same benefits that serverless gives you. That's what I can say about the technology we're using.
So great. That's so great. Really, really excited for Laravel Cloud. And
Yeah, me too.
yeah, right. So no conversation right now in nowadays can finish without talking about the AI.
Okay.
So what's your view on AI? Is there any magic happening inside Laravel about AI?
No, not really. So we don't have a package or, you know, or an actually a production usage with AI at the moment. So the only thing we are using AI related is the typical stuff people are doing. So every developer does have GitHub Copilot, you know, set up. So basically we do get that really good, nice auto completion of code that GitHub Copilot provides. So I have that on my PHP Storm, Sublime Text, VS Code. All my editors have like, you know, auto completion through AI, which, I mean, it's an improvement, you know, that's
Exactly.
a tangible improvement of AI. You know what I mean? What else? We're using ChatGPT, you know, regular ChatGPT through my macOS app, and I use that for rewarding, basically. So each time I want to, you know, communicate publicly, I send that through ChatGPT first to ensure the wording, the prompting, in, you know, the overall feeling of the message is okay. And I think, what else? I also use it something that I don't think people talk a lot. Like every time I don't understand something, I just screenshot it and send it to ChatGPT to really, you know,
Right.
decipher that given message for me. So I do that as well. But yeah, besides the regular stuff, like, you know, auto completion in just regular ChatGPT app, I'm not using AI for anything else, really. I feel like everything else is still super on the edge, you
Yeah,
know? It's
exactly.
not actually usable, you know, like creating full applications with AI. I haven't seen one application that actually was created full with AI, you know? Or, you know, like doing entire videos with AI, not using it. So, and I do appreciate, though, that some products like Canvas, you know, Canvas, like the image product thing. So I know they're using AI, and it's really cool. For example, for thumbnails for YouTube, so you can literally just upload your image, and say something like, "Oh, I want you to remove this particular item from the picture, like removing this microphone from this particular image I'm providing now." So you can just click on the microphone, it will delete it with AI, complete the background based on what you have dressed. So, and I mean, these tools are are for sure using AI for this kind of things, and I do appreciate to see that.
Have you tried Cursor the editor?
Yeah, I have, and I didn't thought it was good enough.
Okay. What's not good about that compared to GitHub Copilot?
Yeah, so GitHub Copilot, I feel it gives me good small auto completions. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And most of the times, because they are small, they do provide me actual code that I barely need to change sometimes. You know. However, Cursor, the editor, I felt it was just too much intrusive to the value it gives. You know what I mean? Like I felt there was like auto completing too much,
Yeah.
changing too much stuff, and I was losing time while I was using it. So I felt currently GitHub Copilot with PHP Storm. It just gives me, a better workflow overall. It gives me an accurate workflow as well, so it doesn't, deviate too much or gives me code that is incorrect. And it still provides me stuff that I like to do, like literally with PHP Storm. You can select a piece of code and ask the AI to the input, like saying, do you think this code is correct or doing the right things? Can you give me a better version of it, or can you give me a refactored code of it? So that's why that's how I'm using AI these days, literally for this little thing, which is coding. And it
Yeah.
is massively improving my workflow. I must be honest. You need to try, if you're using AI for coding, you need to try turn off the internet to see how you code today, because it's difficult, man. I can tell you that you literally forget how to do basic stuff like a for each loop, or because AI just auto completes so much, so you forget the basic stuff.
Yes, you're right. It happened to me whenever like something is not working on AI. Like I like, oh, I need to write parentheses. No way, I don't want.
Yeah.
But that's a good thing or bad. It's a debatable thing. But with this, we are finishing up with this podcast, and it was really really nice talking to you, Nuno. I have so much things in my notes. I have just skipped and maybe for next time I'll come up with these questions which are left behind. But whatever we talked was so insightful, so great, and I am really happy we have made it till this. And thank you very much for your time, and thank you very much for the things you shared.
Thank you so much for having me, man. This chat, it was so fun, and I've also learned some insights from you. And yeah, that was awesome, man. Thank you so much for having me.
Great.